When I think back to those days that I worked in the music business, people will always say, "Did you work with Prince? Did you know Prince?" No, I didn't work with Prince, and I didn't know him personally. But I worked with a ton of people that did know him, that worked for him, that were friends with him, that grew up with him. I know a few of the people that were in his band, Grand Central, the very first band that Prince had. Some interesting characters. Prince was the only one to break out and do the things he did, but all talented in their own right. When I had the studio, Kitty Corner from First Avenue, I was working with a number of artists. One of the first artists I dealt with was this very attractive young woman, young African-American woman, and this girl could literally sing like Aretha Franklin. She was that good. She was very good. But anyway, she put a band together, and she put quite a good band together. There was one guy who was her drummer, and that was her boyfriend. Great guy, smart guy. One of the few musicians I really truly liked because he was mature, he was intelligent, he was a very smart guy, and he is to this date. But the interesting thing about this guy, this does tie to Prince to a certain extent. Now, everybody in the music business back in the early days knew everybody or was acquainted with everybody. So it wasn't unusual if they'd run into Prince or whatever because they're all playing similar venues and all that shit. But this guy was the drummer for this girl. And I will tell you what, this girl was an absolute fucking diva. She was hard to deal with. She's since grown up and grown older, and she's very mature, a religious woman, and quite a lovely lady. But back in the day, she was a motherfucking handful. And her boyfriend, who I did have kind of a friendship with, both my brother and I did, and we still see him from time to time. What's interesting about this, he played in her band for a while. They broke up, and of course the band broke up, and then he went off to do other things. This guy was incredibly talented. He was a good musician. He was a good dancer. And then he started working with Prince. And you maybe have seen him when he did one of his first jobs with Prince. If you saw the movie Purple Rain, remember you're in First Avenue and Prince is playing. And then they take a shot up into like a loft area with railing there. And there's a bunch of young guys dancing. Yeah, I think he was in the middle there. He was kind of the lead dancer. That's where you saw him first. But then after that, he started working more and more with Prince, kind of as an assistant. And then as an assistant, he became a friend of Prince's, ultimately became his best friend. I think that he was even the best man in his wedding. And what's interesting about this guy is that toward the end of Prince's life, he was on the plane those couple of days before Prince died, where he was carried off the plane to a hospital. And this guy who played in the band, who was now Prince's assistant and best friend, was the one that carried him off. Now, after Prince died, this guy got a lot of heat. Oh, it's his fault. He did this or he did that. And it was unfair because this guy, great guy, very loyal guy, smart guy. Somebody wanted to blame Prince's death on somebody. And this wasn't the guy. Because anybody who knew Prince, and as I say, I wasn't close to Prince. I didn't know Prince, but I knew a lot of people that did. Understood one thing. Nobody told Prince what to do. Nobody influenced him what to do. In fact, if you told him what to do, he'd probably do the opposite after he fucking fired you. So this guy took a lot of unnecessary heat from a lot of fans who were trying to blame somebody, and that's ridiculous. Well, that's pretty much gone away. And I see this guy from time to time, and he's very successful in his own right. Great guy, wonderful guy, family man, all of that. He's even on Instagram right now, I think. But it's interesting how that all ties together. He went off and did that. There was another guy in the band. His name was Billy McLaughlin. And he was a guitar player, great guitar player. And you may have heard of him because he went off and played and got nationally known. There was another guy, I don't remember his last name. His name was Keith. And he got into music out in L.A. and he won a fucking Grammy. And this is all coming from this little group in Minneapolis that never did anything. Now, the young woman who was a great singer, she did some backup stuff. She was in the band The Girls that Andre Simone put prior to coming to see me. So all these people did a lot of things. None of them went off to the level of Prince, but they had some interesting lives. And I would love to go to some of these people and talk to them and maybe interview them. I don't think they do it, probably. Maybe the girl. Prince's friend? Probably not. That's too much. I don't think he likes to talk about that whole situation. But anyway, you're sitting here in the middle of this thing. You're an old or a young white guy who doesn't know fuck all about fuck all. And you pull people together, or people come to you, and it's amazing how things end up 30, 40 years later.